Hi everyone, this is going to depict our trip to Arizona. We spent most of the week in Flagstaff, though we did fly into Phoenix and then drove north. Our first stop was Jerome, which is actually a small kind of hidden town in the mountains just outside of Sedona. Perfect place to watch sunsets, so if you're ever in Arizona, I definitely recommend going to Jerome. It's a cute little town, some awesome little shops. In Flagstaff, we found this store that actually had some pretty funny mugs. We didn't buy any, but definitely a nice little novelty shop. There's a lot of nice little other stores in historical Flagstaff as well. Our first hike trip was actually in Flagstaff. It was Fatman's Loop. It was kind of preparing Gabe for the next week of hiking. The loop itself is 2.5 miles, though I will tell you, if you go to the right when you get there and go up the loop, it's really easy to lose the trail, which we did. And so when we came back down, we somehow ended up back on the original trail we were on. We talked to some people that live there, and it's actually easier if you go the left first and then come back down. This is the drive into Sedona. The pictures do not do it justice at all, but it's absolutely a beautiful drive. I definitely recommend driving into Sedona from Flagstaff just to see these views. You just stare at them kind of all day. When we got to Sedona, we did the Devil's Bridge hike. Now, you can park in the one parking lot and then walk the dirt road up to the main trailhead for Devil's Bridge, or you can take a 4x4 or a four-wheeler up that dirt road. We chose to take the more scenic route, so we actually went to a different trailhead and parked there, and then took that trail, which is the first part of these pictures that you saw, and then we had the trail to Devil's Bridge, which is what is right here. And there's usually a wait to get on the bridge to get your picture taken. Ours was about 30 minutes, but it was a nice little break from the hike. And as you can see, well worth the wait. The pictures are amazing. The view is amazing. One of the best things about Sedona is all the red rocks. It just really kind of pops. And no matter where you look, there are just gorgeous, gorgeous views. And the hike wasn't too bad. It ended up being 4.2 miles there and back from where we parked, as opposed to parking at the other place and walking the boring path up the dirt road. Plus, you get way more dusty that way. This is for our scenic chairlift. We're kind of showing you, we started at 9,000 feet elevation. We drove up into the Arizona Snowbowl, Mount Humphreys, the mountains up there, and then we started the ride. And it goes not all the way to the top. They're actually building a gondola, but the highest we got was 10,850 feet in elevation, and then we did the ride back down.
How you doing, babe?
I'm good.
My husband's a little afraid of heights, and so asked him if he was doing okay on the way back down because you're just looking at everything. But beautiful, beautiful view. Since we were at the Arizona Snowbowl, which is what this is called, we decided to do the Aspen Nature Loop. Someday I want to go back and do Humphreys Peak, which is the highest mountain in Arizona, but we were not trained enough to do that, and so we did the snow loop and the Aspen Loop instead. And we went the perfect time in October because the leaves started changing, and as you can see, these trees are absolutely gorgeous. On this loop, you actually see a sign for the Arizona Trail, which points you towards Utah and towards Mexico, so that's kind of cool. In the evenings and kind of in our break time, we hung out at the pool, which you see here, and we played some putt-putt. This was the outside of the cabin we stayed at and had a beautiful view of the mountains in the background, and we actually found a really good Thai place that had some amazing sake. Then we also spent a day in the Grand Canyon. We got there around 10 a.m. and the first thing we did was the South Kaibab Trail. We didn't do the whole trail, we just went about a mile down and a mile back up on the trail. The first point is called Ua Point, and that's what we hiked to. If you're going to hike to any of the other points all the way down to the river, you definitely need to spend a couple days. I would not recommend going all the way down and all the way back up in one day. This is the view from Ua Point. This trail is actually a lot of fun. The views are amazing. You get to talk to some fun people, and it was definitely worth it. That canyon is so expansive. It tells you about 2 to 4 hours or 1 to 2 hours to hike the trail, and it took us about 30 minutes to go down and about an hour to come back up. After we hiked back up to the top of the canyon, then we decided to eat some snacks. I don't really want to say lunch. I think kind of lunch, I guess. And then we did the South Rim Trail, which is at the top of the canyon, kind of walking around from different points.
So if you ever wanted to see the Grand Canyon, here you go. Also, the best time to travel is definitely during a pandemic, because there is nobody here, and it is awesome. That's why there's some people, you can see them over there, but it's way less crowded than I think it usually would be.
There's some more views on the South Rim Trail hike. It's Gabe taking a nap. He found a bench. So at some point, I kind of left Gabe and did my own little hike. He was kind of done hiking for the day, so I did my own.
So
and I'm now walking back to him, which is what you'll see in the next video.
To where Gabe's at, about 0.7-ish miles away. Really had to go to the bathroom, and I didn't feel like peeing outside, so I took a bus back, and now I'm walking back to where he's at, which is totally fine, because the view is very nice. And yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy this walk.
So I didn't take the bus all the way back to the main part of where the trail starts. I took it back to Powell Point, I think it's called, and then kind of walked to Hopi, which is where the bathroom's at. And then from Hopi to Mohave, which is where Gabe was at, that was the longer walk.
We're actually going to be waiting at Mohave Point. Right now I'm at Hopi for the sunset. This is supposed to be another good sunset view, but we decided to do Mohave instead. And the trail, paved trail ends and dirt trail begins. If you ever get the chance to come out to the Grand Canyon, I definitely recommend it. There's lodges here you can stay at. Obviously you can camp too. You can hike down into the canyon and camp down there. You can stay outside. We met some people that were moving from DC to San Diego, and they're about 30 minutes south of the canyon, and they spent a few days here. Gabe and I just drove in from Flagstaff every day.
Yeah.
lot of options. I definitely want to come back. I would love to do one of the 2 to 3 day hikes where you hike down South Kaibab Trail across the river and then turn around and hike back up Bright Angel. And there's a place to camp out down there. A lot of hiking, a lot of hours, but seems like it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. Trail. Could go that way. Not going to. I'm going to go this way. I've done plenty of close to the edge excursions today and a couple days ago. I'm not necessarily afraid of heights. I am more, not necessarily, like afraid of falling, I guess, but more that when I'm standing on the edge of something, I just go worst case scenario and be like, oh, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. So that's always fun. Up on some road. I have 0.5 miles left until I get to Gabe. I mean, can you guys see the Colorado River down there? Isn't that cool? At one of the points, there's a bus you can take if you don't feel like walking. At one of the points, like in the beginning, a lot of the points you can actually see like some of the trails and people walking on them. And then out here, not so much. But then we went to Prima Point, I think it's called, and you could actually see the trail that crosses, one of the trails that crosses the Colorado River, so that was kind of cool. I was down there, I didn't see anybody. But we took some pictures of some of the other trails, and it's crazy because they look like little black specks. Currently I'm walking, it's called the Rim. The first part of it, most of it is paved. Well, paved with quotes. But this part from Hopi or Powell, I think, until Vista Creek is rocky, kind of like this. From Mohave to the Abyss, it's rocky, and then like right on the edge, it's also like 1 point something miles, so Gabe wasn't really having any of that. I'm pretty sure I've walked him out. Go back and take a picture. Yeah, he's done good. His legs are done though. A lot of hiking over the last 4 days. Tomorrow we'll be back in Flagstaff. And I think we're just gonna kind of leisurely hike around there. There's this Walnut Canyon that has like cliff dwelling places, homes. So we might do that, or we might do Sunset Crater, but they're relatively easy hikes. So, and then probably spend the afternoon in the pool in the hot tub, just like we did the other day. Tonight, I don't know if we're gonna stay up for it or if we're gonna go to sleep and then wake up for it. But after midnight, you're supposed to be able to see, I think it's the meteor shower from Halley's Comet. So we're gonna do that. Oh. Right over the edge. So yeah, we'll wake up or stay up, I don't really know what, do that, and then we can sleep in Thursday, though we haven't really been sleeping in. We've been getting up ourselves like 6:30 to 7:30. I don't know if it's because we're going to bed so early because they're long, tiring days, or if our bodies just haven't really adjusted to the time difference. Granted, it's only 3 hours, but one thing, there's been a lot of people, you want that good picture, so they'll climb out on like rocks and stuff. Man, I'm not even close to the damn rock, and I get so much anxiety watching them do it. Because all I think about is like, oh, you could slip and fall and die. Oh look, a picnic table. That's fun. Even I did pack, like, we made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ham and cheese sandwiches and other snacks for our hikes, and we do a pretty good job of eating those. We bought breakfast food our first night here, so we haven't eaten out for breakfast. Mostly made, this is fun, made our own lunches and just kind of gone out for dinner, so saving some money wherever we can. We'll definitely have food left over so we can make sandwiches for the trip back. God knows everything in the airport's closed. Right close to the edge. Well, this isn't that bad. On our hike earlier, there were some fun really close to the edge things. You can always tell when someone's really afraid of heights because they usually hug the inside. This one chick kept holding on to either her boyfriend, husband, or whatever, but like holding him in the way that she was like grabbing him to like pull him back, like protecting him. Like when you go to haunted houses and stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot of crazy wildlife since being here. We did get to see 2 rattlesnakes the other day, but they were in a cage. But it was the closest I've ever been to a live rattlesnake. Yeah, nothing. Some birds. We saw our first lizard this morning. Obviously spiders, but nothing fancy. On the bench. It's a nice view. I see the sky changing color with the sun going down, so this should be really pretty. We've seen some good ones in Flagstaff, but the way that the sun sets, it's like behind the mountains, so you can't really get a whole lot of good pictures. And we kind of had the same problem when we were in Sedona. We got some okay pictures. Oh, right on the edge. Back up. Should be getting to Gabe soon. Not walking insanely fast because, you know, my clumsy ass would trip. Oh, the trail we did earlier, right? We're walking down, and this guy's running down the trail. I'm over here trying not to sprain an ankle walking down the thing. And he's running down as the trail, like, you know, S's all the way down the side. Yep, just running along and pulling his pants up as he does it. Then we get probably about halfway down, and here he is speed walking back up it. So we think he ran to the one point we stopped at and then speed walked back up. I don't know if that's just what he does for fun or exercise, training for something. I don't know. Maybe get better pants. You don't have to pull them up all the time. I'm good. Coming up on Mohave Point. There was one family with a bunch of kids that was like, Mom, it doesn't look real. And their older sister told them it was a green screen. But they do have a point. Sometimes when staring out, it does not look real. Also, this isn't so bad, but trail we took, there were a few families we saw with like little kids, meaning like somewhere from the ages of 6 to 12. And I told Gabe, I was like, yeah, no. I would have way too much anxiety bringing children on some of these trails because all I can think about is I'm trying to climb and running and slipping and dying. Because, you know, that's normal. I'll bring them when they're older and mature-ish. Mohave Point's that little cutout right there. The trails don't have railings and stuff, as you can see by this lovely hike I just took, but some of the points do. Whether it's rock faces or actual railings. Seriously though, one of the best things is traveling during this pandemic, because as far as the Grand Canyon is concerned, this is not busy at all. Almost every picture Gabe and I have taken, there's no one else in it. Whether it's scenic views, whether it's a bus. People are also really good about giving you your space so you can get that picture. But it's kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. Things aren't crowded, you don't have to wait in line for a ton of stuff. They require masks on the bus and in the buildings. Most people don't wear them on the trails, but some people will, and some people just pull them up as others walk by. And I don't do that because, you know, you're passing them for all of a second. Here's Gabe.
Here's where I met up with Gabe, and we prepared for sunset. As you can see, I kind of set up my phone to do a time lapse, and then I used his phone to take these pictures. This is a video Gabe took of like the crows circling. And while we were sitting there, we could see some helicopter tours going on of the canyon itself. If you love sunsets, the canyon sunsets is definitely a place to go. It was kind of hazy, and then the haze kind of cleared up, but it was just gorgeous. Just sit there and enjoy the experience. I might have had too much fun with his phone while I was waiting. I didn't put all our sunset pictures in here, just a few. Again, the pictures just don't do it justice at all. My favorite thing though is the time lapse that I have, and it just looks awesome. And then in the bottom right corner of the time lapse, you can see the Colorado River, and the sun will come into the picture on the left side, and you'll see it actually set in the picture. We didn't wait until it got all the way dark. Once the sun went behind the canyons, we kind of waited a little bit and then decided to get up and get the bus back so we could start our lovely drive back to Flagstaff. And then when we got to Flagstaff, we went to Sunset Crater and took some pictures of the stars. Now these pictures do not do stars justice, but man, when I tell you you can see everything, you can see everything. Actually, in this picture, the big one is the moon. I was trying to get the crescent shape, it wasn't coming. And then the two next to it are Saturn and Jupiter, the two bright stars right next to it. This is the next day. We went to Walnut Canyon. Walnut Canyon is actually really cool. These are the cliff dwellings, and so these little places people lived in the side of these cliffs of this canyon. Now this canyon is not nearly as big as the Grand Canyon, but it's pretty expansive. And it was really cool to see where people actually lived and how they lived. And then it got kind of surprising because there was some, when you turn the corner, solid walls that were still there where you could see the doorways. And the doorways, as you'll see in a second, are quite tiny. So I don't know if the people just hunched over when walking in or they were just really short. As you can see, the caves themselves are quite large, but the doorways, yeah, a little small. Gabe could not fit through those, so I feel like the people were just smaller. But they did tell us on this that some of them were meant for sleeping, some of them for storage, but you never really spent a lot of time in the caves unless weather was really bad. You spent most of your time outside. These are actually really cool because you can see the cave dwellings across the canyon, and so people lived on both sides. And then next we have Meteor Crater, and this was super cool. And there's actually, you can see the astronaut and the flag that they have down in the crater. They actually do that because astronauts used to train here in preparation for moon landing, so that's kind of sweet. They told us that 20 football fields can fit on the flat part at the bottom of the crater, and actually 2 million people could then be around the outside watching 20 football games simultaneously. This is when we actually drove to Needles, California to visit Gabe's family that happened to be in town there. And so we're in the Colorado River, and then across the way, what you're looking at now, is actually Arizona. We're standing on the California side, and a lot of people live in the Arizona side because it's cheaper than living in the California side.